Overcoming bad habits you developed during the pandemic. All of us reacted differently to the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. We had different levels of restrictions and it caused stress. And in that stress, many of us developed some bad habits, myself included. Well, there's 4 that are the top bad habits that most people adopted during that time. So today I'm going to tell you the 4 bad habits, but not just that. I'm also going to give you your game plan for overcoming any of them that are impacting you so that you can get back to your beautiful, healthy life. Stick around.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
If the COVID-19 pandemic taught us anything, it taught us that you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach people how to do the same thing in a different way. You can give people the freedom to work at their own pace in their own environment, and they'll rise to the occasion. That's great, but it also gave us the freedom to teach ourselves some not so healthy habits. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Not just the healthy habits or unhealthy habits that people adopted during the pandemic, but how to get your life back on track. How do you reprogram your brain when you've gotten into certain patterns? Regardless of your level of lockdown at this point, or even if you're locked down at all, these things do follow you. It's just the way that our brains work. Our brains latch onto a pattern and they stick to it. It's why I'm not sure if you've ever heard that if you can stick to something for more than 21 days, then it becomes a habit. Well, we were in lockdown for way more than 21 days, and so we did develop some habits there. So today we are going to undo those habits. But before I give you all of this, will you do us a favor and hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that little bell. That will give you notifications when you log on to YouTube that we've dropped a new video to help you live a great life. All right, are you ready with your notes? If you don't have pen and paper, just open up the comments section here and use that as your notepad. Everybody wins. All right, number 1. The number 1 bad habit that most people adopted during the pandemic is eating comfort food. Okay, so comfort food, it's usually really high in carbs, really high in fat, and we reach for that when we're really high in stress or when we have an upset, when we're super sad. It makes us feel better. So why? Okay, well, those types of foods release neurotransmitters in your brain that signal the release of feel-good hormones. So it's like taking a medicine to get your body to do something. So they're called comfort foods. You're self-medicating with food. Okay, that's all fine and good. That's natural. So where does the problem come in? Well, your body wasn't built to process that many carbs. Usually carbs come in the form of sugar, and your body wasn't built to process that level of fat with that level of carbs. So these foods on an ongoing basis actually cause your stress to go up. They might feel good in the short term, but in the long term, they're really hurting your health. They can also destroy the stability of your gut. And if you don't have a healthy gut, you don't have a healthy life. So what do? First of all, it really helps me to understand why my body's craving this thing to begin with. Just understanding the science helps me reason and make better choices when I am in the kitchen or go to purchase food, make those selections. And that's the first way that I keep myself from reaching for those things. I don't bring them into the house to begin with. Donuts, I will eat the whole box. I do not bring them into the house to begin with. Carbs just don't do well with me, with my gut. I understand my personal metabolism. I really encourage you to take a test. There are really easy swab tests that you can have your DNA checked or have your genetic testing to tell you what your personal metabolism is so that you can know what foods to choose. But if you don't have the finances to provide tests like that, or you don't live in an area where that's available, it's fine. Just know that the high carb, high fat foods over the long term do destroy the good bacteria in your gut. So what do you do instead? Have things around that you really enjoy. Have them in sight. One thing that I've noticed, we have 7 people in our family, and every single person will reach for the easiest thing. So if we have chips, candy, cookies, things like that out on the counter, the first thing that you see is the first thing that your brain registers, and then all of a sudden your brain says, okay, well, grab that. That causes you to eat more things that you don't want to eat if there's the wrong things out there. So we have a big fruit bowl on the kitchen counter, and that's what we leave out. You can grab apples, you can grab mandarins, you can grab bananas, avocados, tomatoes. There's all sorts of things in there. So you have all these different choices, and they're all good. Are there carbs in those things? Yes, but it's natural sugars. It's not processed. It came from a farm or from a garden and not a factory. So the number one way to get out of this comfort food habit is to ask yourself with each food decision, is this a good food decision or a bad food decision? And just stop eating mindlessly. Bad habit number 2, social media binges. We have more time spent at home, and we have successfully become re-immersed in our devices, our tablets, our phones, our laptops. So creating digital discipline is something that's really, really important. Why? Well, because science has learned that clicking and scrolling mindlessly creates patterns in our brain that are the same as addiction. So drug addiction, substance abuse, anything like that, your brain goes into the same patterns as those addictions that we all realize are unhealthy when we do the mindless clicking and scrolling. So a lot of people have become addicted to that. Also, with less going on, less that we can go do, it's a way for us to exit our little corner of our community in our home or in our small little bubble where we can be safe, and it lets us go out and experience things that are outside of that because we really want to do that because we're used to going out and doing that. But we have developed social media addiction in return for those little trips outside of our small microcosm of the universe. This not only causes that addiction, that addictive pattern in your brain, but the blue light from the devices that we're overexposing ourselves to interrupts our sleep pattern. So you're hurting your sleep pattern. And we all need sleep, especially when we're dealing with stress. The more stress you have, the more sleep you need. The average adult needs anywhere from 6 to 9 hours of sleep a day. I would say that it skews higher during times of stress, can skew a little bit lower when all is right with the world. But the social media influence that has happened during the pandemic has really hurt a lot of people. And it may have spiked your anxiety because of all of the conflicting coronavirus news, updates, political uprisings, anything like that you're scrolling and seeing. Even if you say, oh, I just scroll right past that, your brain has still picked up on that stressor, that stressful topic. It doesn't matter if you scroll past it. You already took it in, even though you're not reading the details. So you're still getting it, and that's not good because it causes the stress in your body to go up, which then actually, point number 1, it can cause you to want to reach for those comfort foods more. These things are really all overlapping. So I encourage you to create digital parameters, digital boundaries within your life. If you do want to get onto social media, set a timer. You can, I know with my iPhone anyway, I can go in and say, this is the limit that I can be on this app on a particular day. You can set a physical timer. Okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to do this. And when the timer goes off, shut it down. Put different activities in your life so that you can live your life instead of scrolling and looking at everybody else's happy moments. And also remember that what you put on your own social media, you don't put the worst moments of life. You don't necessarily put your greatest fears. You put the positive image that you want other people to see of your life, and other people are doing the same thing. So another way that social media really messes with our mental health in a negative way is by giving us a false perception of how great everybody else is doing. So step out of digital reality, which is really false, and into your real reality. Put on a pair of shoes, go for a walk, step outside. If you live in an apartment building and the only nature that you have is opening your window, great. Open your window, lean out, breathe in whatever fresh air you can breathe in, and find a way to enjoy this world and enjoy the people who are around you. I really think that the only digital communication that we need to be addicted to is Skype, Zoom, FaceTime to get together with our loved ones if we are in lockdown and we can't see them. That is positive because you are connecting with the people that you love. Even though it's a different way, it's better than nothing at all. So make Positive digital choices. Have digital times for yourself, a curfew. My family has a charging station where we put all of our devices in the evening. We plug them in so they'll be nice and charged for us the next day, but we have curfews for that. You can't take it off before a particular time, and you've got to put it on at a particular time. And that also gets us to turn off that blue light, to get away from that stimulation at an earlier time so that we can prep for restful sleep. One more note about the articles on stressful topics. Don't read anything like that close to bed, because if your stress goes up, then your rest quality is going to go down. So make sure that you avoid that late in the day. Bad habit number 3 is not having a structure. We want structure. Our bodies, our minds want structure. We work best when we're within a structure. Just think of a small child that is not behaving properly. The lack of discipline, they're screaming and begging for some sort of limitations. We work best when we know our boundaries. So work with a calendar. Even if your life is free flow, mine is, I make my own schedule. Even if your life is free flow, easy for me to say. Even if your life is free flow, make sure that you're using your calendar and stick to it. Have a designated wake up time. You get better sleep if you have regular bedtime and wake up times anyway. Make sure that you're scheduling the things that are important to you first, and then you're letting everything else fall inside those cracks. That is how you can get out of the habit of not really having a structured schedule and kind of just doing things whenever you feel like it. It is healthier for you to schedule everything. It might feel a little stifling at first, but give it a chance and you will see how your stress goes down. And number 4, many people, even though they had all the time in the world, they were at home, they could do things, they weren't exercising enough. So when you're programming the things that are important to you into your calendar, make sure that exercise is at the top of that list. I have lots of ideas for you on a good morning routine. You can check out the video description here to download your free morning routine guide so you can make a morning routine that works for you. And that should always include exercise, because exercise, nutrition, and positive behavior is all what goes into you having a healthy life. Those are the 4 top bad habits most people adopted during the pandemic, and how to get out of them. If this has been of use to you, give us a thumbs up. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you know the next time we drop a video to help you live a happier, more successful life.